Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This is Kanika Arora and you're watching my channel The Medical World. In this video, I will talk about the bleeding, its definition, types and causes and then how you can manage the bleeding. So let's start the video. First of all is the definition of bleeding. What is bleeding? Bleeding is the loss of the blood. It can be internal or outside the body, like when you get a cut or a wound. It can be internal or inside the body when you have injury to an internal organ. Bleeding can occur internally or externally, either through a natural opening such as mouth, nose, ear, urethra, vagina, or anus, or through the wound in the skin. Now we will discuss about the types of the bleeding. First one is the upper head, that is the intracranial hemorrhage. Intra means the skull and intra means inside the skull, which is the bleeding in the skull. And the second type of the internal bleeding of the up- upper head is cerebral hemorrhage. It is the intracranial hemorrhage bleeding within the brain itself. And third one is the intracerebral hemorrhage. It is the bleeding in the brain which is caused by the rupture of the blood vessels within the head. And the fourth one is the subacral hemorrhage. It implies the presence of the food within the subacral space from some pathogenic process. The next one are the eyes, that is the subconjunctival hemorrhage. It is the bloody eyes arising from a broken blood vessels in the sclera, that is the white part of the eyes. Often the result of the stain, including the sneezing, coughing, vomiting, or other type of strain, can cause the subconjunctival hemorrhage. And next one is the nose. So what's in the nose? That is the epistaxis, which is called the nose bleeding. And the last one is the mouth, which is the tooth rupture, that is losing a tooth, hemostasis, vomiting fresh blood, and hemoptysis, that is coughing up the blood from the lungs. Now we will talk about the internal bleeding of the lungs, which is called the pulmonary hemorrhage. And then is the gastrointestinal, which is the upper gastrointestinal bleed, lower gastrointestinal bleed, and occult gastrointestinal bleed. And next one are the urinary tract, which is the hematuria, the blood in the urine from the urinary bladder, which is the hematuria. Now we will study about the genealogical types of the internal bleeding, that is the vaginal bleeding, postpartum hemorrhage, and breakthrough bleeding. And the second one is the ovarian bleeding. It is potentially catastrophic and not so rare complication among lean patients with polycystic ovary syndrome undergoing transvaginal oocyte. And third one is Manila, that is upper intestinal bleeding, and hematochezia, that is lower intestinal bleeding or break upper intestinal bleeding. Here's some list of the causes that cause the internal bleeding or the external bleeding, which is the traumatic injury, abrasions, extrusion, hematoma, laceration, puncture wound, contusion, crushing injuries, and blastic trauma. Next one are the causes. The medical bleeding denotes hemorrhage as a result of an underlying medical condition, that is the causes of the bleeding that are not directly due to trauma. Blood can escape from the blood vessels as a result of the three patterns of injury. First one is the intravascular changes, second one is the intramural changes, and third one is the extravascular changes. So what comes in the intravascular changes, that is the changes of the blood within the vessels, that is blood pressure increases and clotting factor decreases. And next is the intramural changes, the changes arising within the walls of the blood pressure, that is the aneurysm, the sections, ABMs and vasculitis. And third one is the ultravascular changes, the changes arising outside the blood vessels, that is H. pylori infection, brain abscess and brain tumor. So here are the classification of the internal bleeding, which is classified into 4 classes: class 1 hemorrhage, class 2 hemorrhage, class 3 hemorrhage and class 4 hemorrhage. Class 1 hemorrhage involves up to 15% of the blood volume. It is typically no change in the vital signs and blood restitution is not usually necessary. And the class 2 hemorrhage involves 15 to 30 of the total blood volume. A patient is often tachycardic, that is, the patient has the rapid heartbeat with a reduction in the difference between the systolic and diastolic blood pressures. The body attempts to compensate with peripheral vasoconstriction. Skin may start to look pale and be cool to the touch. The patients may exhibit slight changes in the behavior. Volume restitution with crystalloids is all that is required. Blood transfusion is usually not required in class 2 hemorrhage. And class 3 hemorrhage involves loss of 30 to 40% of the circulating blood volume. The patient's blood pressure drops, the heart rate increases, peripheral hyperperfusion with diminished capillary refill occurs, and the mental status worsens. Fluid resuscitation with crystalloids and blood transfusion are usually necessary. Class 4 involves more than 40% of the blood volume loss. The limit of the body compensation is reached and aggression and restitution is required to prevent the death. Last topic is the management. So here are some management points by which the bleeding can be managed. First one is the acute bleeding from an injury to the skin is often treated by the application of the direct pressure. For severe injured patients, tourniquets are helpful in maintaining the complications of shock. And third one is the anticoagulant medications may need to be discontinued and possibly reversed in the patients with clinically significant bleeding. And the fourth one is the patients with lost excess amounts of blood may require a blood transfusion. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you all like this video. If you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe this channel, and I hope this video is more informative to you in your subjects and in your real life. Thank you so much.